The decaying Victorian on Channel Street loomed over Sarah and Ben, its boarded windows like vacant eye sockets staring back at them. Night had fallen, casting long shadows that danced in the flickering streetlight. "This is it," Ben said, his voice barely a whisper. They were lost, their beat-up van sputtering its last on the outskirts of Stockton. Seeking refuge, they stumbled upon the abandoned house, its notoriety a faint echo in Ben's memory. Locals called it the Thorne Mansion, whispering tales of a malevolent spirit trapped within its walls. The wood beneath their feet creaked as they ascended the porch. Sarah shivered, not just from the cool night air. A strange energy clung to the house, a prickling sensation that raised the hairs on her arms. The back door gave way with a groan. Inside, dust motes danced in the slivers of moonlight filtering through the cracks in the boarded windows. The air hung heavy with the smell of mildew and something more acrid, metallic. Upstairs, a floorboard creaked. Sarah and Ben exchanged a nervous glance. They needed shelter for the night, and with a silent agreement, decided to explore further. The source of the metallic scent was a blood-stained medical bag lying open in a dusty room. As Sarah reached for it, a disembodied whisper brushed past her ear, cold and raspy. "Don't touch." Startled, Sarah dropped the bag. Ben grabbed her arm, his eyes wide. "There's no one here," he said, his voice strained. But something was there, a presence, a darkness that watched from the shadows. Sleep, when it came, was filled with nightmares, chilling laughter and disembodied voices, the metallic tang of blood heavy in the air. In the morning, the blood-stained bag was gone. In its place, a bone-handled scalpel lay on the floor, glinting ominously in the weak light. Fear gnawed at them, a cold dread that coiled in their gut. As they explored further, they found a hidden room, a makeshift operating theater. Surgical instruments lay scattered on a dusty table, and a cold steel chair stood in the center, bolts and restraints hanging ominously from the arms. The spirit, they realized with a jolt of horror, wasn't trapped. It was a surgeon, one who performed horrific experiments within these very walls. The scalpel slipped from Sarah's grasp, clanging on the floor. From the shadows, the voice hissed, laced with rage, "You will pay for interrupting my work." The house seemed to shift, the floorboards groaning in protest. A cold wind slammed doors shut, plunging them into darkness. Panic seized them. They stumbled blindly through the halls, desperate to escape. The entity was toying with them, her laughter echoing through the halls, driving them deeper into the house. The air grew thick and cold, and a spectral figure materialized before them, a woman with a cruel twist to her lips and eyes burning with an inhuman light. They fled, the scalpel a beacon in Sarah's hand. They burst through the front door, collapsing onto the porch steps, gasping for breath. The house loomed behind them, silent but watchful. In December 1978, a 21-year-old named David visited his mother in Stockton, California. He stayed at her apartment in a safe gated complex which was well lit and equipped with lots of cameras. On the last night of David's stay, he was lying in bed in the guest room, just listening to the sounds outside before drifting off to sleep. But when he woke up, David found he couldn't move his body, only his eyes. It was his first experience with sleep paralysis. The room was completely silent, unlike before. David observed his surroundings. The bed was positioned away from the door, a large armoire stood in the corner, and there was a table. And chair on the other side of his bed. At that moment, David noticed a dark figure of a woman with a shawl covering her face standing in the corner. Fear paralyzed him as he realized there might be an intruder in the room. He strained to look around and heard someone slithering on the ground getting closer to his bed. The woman crawled onto him, pressing down on his chest, and David felt his breath being squeezed out. Finally, he managed to scream and woke up to find the woman gone. His mother rushed into the room, concerned about the screaming. David reassured her it was just a bad dream, and they went back to bed. In the following months, David couldn't forget the terrifying experience, but as time passed, he tried to move on. In May 1980, at a family party, David shared his sleep paralysis experience with his brother. To his surprise, his brother revealed that he had a similar encounter at their mom's apartment just before they moved. They were both scared by the strange coincidence but chose not to dwell on it. In August 1980, David's mother moved into a new two-story house in Stockton. David decided to spend a couple of nights with her to help her settle in. One night, while watching TV in the guest room, David fell asleep and experienced sleep paralysis once again. Thank you for watching our channel, and please remember to like and subscribe to Dark Encounters.